Think back to school. There was always one student everyone expected to succeed. The one who answered every question, collected every award, and seemed born with an advantage. Then there was someone else. Quiet, average, almost forgettable. Years later, the first person is still chasing opportunities, while the second quietly owns them. We've all seen it happen. So what changed? It probably wasn't talent. It probably wasn't luck either. The world notices the obvious things because they're easy to explain. A wealthy family, a lucky break, the right connection. But the forces that shape a life are usually invisible. The Stoics understood that long before anyone wrote books about wealth. They knew lasting success begins with things almost nobody bothers to measure. People spend far too much time staring at where someone started and almost no time studying the direction they kept moving. That's why luck gets so much credit. It's easier to point at one fortunate moment than to notice 5 years of disciplined choices. Imagine two friends graduating on the same day with the same qualifications and the same amount of money. One spends every spare hour improving a skill that compounds in value. The other spends those hours chasing distractions that disappear by morning. One saves before spending. The other spends before thinking. A year passes and the gap is barely noticeable. 5 years pass and they're living completely different lives. Luck is like a sudden gust pushing a sailboat across the water. It can help for a moment, but it can't decide where the boat eventually ends up. Direction always wins in the end. That's why builders become obsessed with the next decision, while spectators stay fascinated by the starting line. Marcus Aurelius rarely wrote about changing your life overnight. He returned to something much less exciting and far more powerful. The choices repeated every single day. That's how lives are built. Not through one dramatic breakthrough, but through ordinary moments that barely seem important while they're happening. Hitting snooze because 10 more minutes feels harmless. Putting off the workout because tomorrow sounds easier. Buying something on impulse because you've had a stressful week. Avoiding the difficult conversation that keeps hanging over you. Waiting for Monday, then next month, then next year. None of those decisions look significant on their own. Together, they quietly shape the kind of person you become. Identity works like wet cement. Every action leaves another footprint before it hardens into something familiar. Changing that pattern is uncomfortable because you're no longer following the version of yourself you've rehearsed for years. That's the price of growth. You don't just replace habits. You leave behind the person those habits created. The Stoics believed that freedom begins the moment your desires stop making your decisions for you. That's harder than it sounds, because modern life constantly whispers that you need one more thing before you can finally feel successful. Another daily coffee because you've earned it. A phone upgrade because the old one suddenly feels outdated. Food delivered because cooking seems inconvenient. Shopping simply to escape boredom for an hour. None of these choices look dangerous. That's exactly why they're so powerful. Every unnecessary desire quietly borrows from the person you're trying to become tomorrow. Desire is like carrying water in a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it never stays full. Wealth isn't measured by how much enters your account. It's measured by how much leaves without controlling you. The strongest financial position belongs to the person whose peace isn't constantly for sale. People often believe wealth starts with money. In reality, money usually arrives after something much more valuable has already been built. Trust, reliability, sound judgment, the ability to solve problems others avoid. Think about the colleague everyone turns to when something important goes wrong, or the business owner whose name keeps coming up. because customers recommend them without being asked. Or the creator whose work people remember months after seeing it. None of that appears on a bank statement, yet all of it creates future opportunities. Money is simply the fruit. Character, discipline, and competence are the roots keeping the tree alive through every season. Most people become impatient because roots grow underground, where nobody can admire them. That's the difficult part. Invisible value often takes years to build, while recognition can appear overnight. The people who last are willing to spend years growing what nobody else can see. Pay attention to how often your focus gets interrupted before lunch. A notification lights up your screen. A headline steals your curiosity. One quick video becomes 20 minutes. Someone else's opinion suddenly feels more important than your own priorities. It happens so often that most people stop noticing it altogether. The Stoics understood that whatever commands your attention eventually begins shaping your character. Attention works like fertile soil. Leave it unattended, and weeds grow without permission. Plant something worthwhile, and with enough time, it becomes difficult to uproot. A distracted afternoon won't ruin your future, but a distracted decade quietly changes who you become. Wealth follows clear judgment long before it follows income, and clear judgment is impossible when your attention belongs to everything except the life you're trying to build. Step back and look at the bigger picture. The people who build lasting wealth rarely possess some magical advantage everyone else missed. They simply become the kind of people capable of making better decisions over and over again. That's the real edge. Not extraordinary talent, not perfect timing, not powerful connections. Their habits changed before their circumstances did. Their standards changed before their bank balance did. Picture a game of chess. Beginners become fascinated by the piece directly in front of them. Experienced players keep looking at the entire board because they understand every move creates the next one. Life works the same way. Your future is usually hiding inside the decisions that seem too ordinary to matter today. The world encourages you to chase shortcuts, wait for lucky breaks, and hope the next opportunity changes everything. Stoicism asks something much more demanding. Master your choices before chasing rewards. Guard your attention. Keep your desires under control. Invest in qualities nobody can take from you. Over time, those invisible advantages begin producing visible results. Many people spend their lives wishing for a different hand. A smaller group learns to play the one they already hold with wisdom, patience, and purpose.